The fluorescent lights of the convenience store buzzed overhead as Maya Washington counted the crumpled bills in her palm for the third time. $18. She had $18 to her name, and the can of formula in her hand cost $23. Her 6-month-old daughter, Zara, had been crying for the past hour in the carrier strapped to Maya's chest, her tiny fists waving in the air with increasing urgency. Maya could feel the dampness of tears soaking through her worn-out cleaning uniform, both hers and her baby's mingling together in a testament to this impossible moment. "I'm so sorry, sweet girl," Maya whispered, bouncing gently as she walked back to the formula aisle, hoping maybe she'd miscalculated, maybe there was a smaller can, maybe there was something, anything, within reach. At 28 years old, Maya had never imagined her life would look like this. She'd had plans once. College plans. Career plans. But then her mother got sick, and the medical bills piled up, and school became an impossible dream. Then came Marcus, with his smooth words and promises, who disappeared the moment he saw those 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test. Her mother passed when Zara was just 2 months old, leaving Maya truly alone for the first time in her life. The cleaning company she worked for had cut her hours last month. Something about restructuring and budget constraints. The words meant nothing when translated into her reality: not enough money for rent, utilities, food, and formula. She'd been skipping meals for weeks now, telling herself it didn't matter as long as Zara ate. But she was breastfeeding less and less, stress and malnutrition making her milk supply dwindle to almost nothing. Maya pulled out her phone with shaking hands. The screen was cracked from when she'd dropped it last week, a spiderweb of damage she couldn't afford to repair. She opened her contacts, scrolling through the short list. Her cousin Jasmine would help if she could, but she'd already loaned Maya $50 2 weeks ago that Maya still hadn't paid back. Her coworker Didi was struggling just as much as she was, single mother of 3, working 2 jobs. There was one name she kept coming back to, Mrs. Patricia Chen, the elderly woman whose home she cleaned on Thursdays. Mrs. Chen had always been kind, slipping her an extra 20 here and there, telling Maya she was such a good girl and that she was going to make it. But it was 11:47 p.m., and calling at this hour felt impossible, intrusive, desperate, which, Maya supposed, she was. Her fingers trembled as she typed out a text message instead. Maybe Mrs. Chen wouldn't see it until morning, but at least Maya would have tried. "Mrs. Chen, this is Maya, your cleaning lady. I hate to ask this, but I'm in a really difficult situation. My baby needs formula and I'm $5 short. Could I possibly borrow $50 until Friday when I get paid? I promise I'll pay you back. I'm so sorry to ask. God bless you." She hit send before she could overthink it, before shame could stop her. Then she went back to staring at the formula, at the cheerful babies on the labels who seemed to mock her current situation. Zara had quieted somewhat, exhausted from crying, her little head resting against Maya's chest with small, shuddering breaths that broke her mother's heart. Maya's phone buzzed. She grabbed it eagerly, hope flooding through her. But the message preview made her stomach drop. "Who is this?" That wasn't Mrs. Chen's usual response. Maya checked the number she'd sent the message to, her heart sinking as she realized what she'd done. In her exhausted, desperate state, she'd accidentally texted the number right above Mrs. Chen's contact. A number she didn't even recognize. A number she must have added at some point and forgotten about. "I'm so sorry," she typed quickly, mortification flooding through her. "Wrong number. Please disregard." She was about to put her phone away when another message came through. "Wait. You need formula for your baby?" Maya hesitated. Something in her wanted to respond, to explain, but what was the point? Some stranger couldn't help her. Some stranger would probably judge her, or worse, ignore her completely. But then another message: "What store are you at?" Against her better judgment, Maya found herself typing back. "Safeway on Jefferson Avenue." But really, it's fine. Wrong number. I'm sorry to have bothered you. Stay there. I'm coming. Maya stared at the message, confusion and a flutter of fear mixing in her chest. Who was this person? Why would they come to meet a stranger at midnight? This had to be some kind of joke, or worse, something dangerous. You don't have to do that, she texted back. I don't even know you. You will in about 20 minutes. Buy the formula. I'll pay you back when I get there. Before Maya could respond, another message came through, please. Let me help. Maya stood in the fluorescent-lit aisle, her sleeping baby against her chest, and made a decision that would change both their lives forever. She chose to trust a stranger. She chose to believe that maybe, just maybe, there was still goodness in the world. The midnight meeting. Maya stood outside the Safeway, clutching the bag with the formula she'd ultimately bought on a leap of faith, using the last of her money to cover what she could. The night manager had taken pity on her after seeing Zara, letting her pay the $18 and promising she could come back with the rest. Small mercies. The parking lot was nearly empty, illuminated by harsh overhead lights that cast everything in an eerie yellow glow. Maya had positioned herself near the entrance where security cameras would catch everything, her phone clutched in her other hand with 911 ready to dial. She might be desperate, but she wasn't stupid. A black Mercedes SUV pulled into the lot, and Maya's heart began to race. The vehicle looked brand new, probably cost more than she'd make in 5 years. It pulled up directly in front of her, and for a moment, Maya considered running. This had been a mistake. Rich people didn't just show up at midnight to help strangers. This was how horror stories began. The driver's door opened, and a man stepped out. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair slightly mussed as if he'd been running his hands through it. He wore jeans and a simple black sweater, but even in casual clothes, there was something polished about him, something that spoke of wealth and power. He looked to be in his late 30s, with sharp features softened by genuine concern in his dark eyes. Maya? He asked, his voice gentle, non-threatening. She nodded slowly, instinctively holding Zara closer. Who are you? My name is Alexander, Alex. He stopped several feet away, clearly respecting her space, keeping his hands visible. You texted me by accident asking to borrow $50 for baby formula. How did you get here so fast? Maya asked, her voice suspicious despite herself. I was working late at my office downtown. Only about 15 minutes away. He gestured to the bag in her hand. Did you get what you needed? I got the formula, but I'm still short on the payment. The manager said I could come back tomorrow with the rest, but... How much? $5, but you don't need to. Alex was already pulling out his wallet. He extracted a few bills and held them out to her. In the harsh parking lot light, Maya could see they were $100 bills. 3 of them. That's way too much, she protested, not taking the money. The 50 you asked for, plus enough to get more formula when this runs out, and some groceries. His voice was matter-of-fact, not condescending. Please. Take it. Maya felt tears burning behind her eyes again. I can't pay you back. I'm not asking you to. But I texted Mrs. Chen, or I meant to text Mrs. Chen, my client. I clean houses for a living. I was going to pay her back on Friday when I get paid, and I'll pay you back too, I promise, I just need a little time. Maya. Alex's voice was soft but firm. Stop. I'm not Mrs. Chen, and I don't need you to pay me back. Consider it a gift. I don't take charity. The words came out harder than she intended, pride flaring up even in her desperation. Something shifted in Alex's expression, not offense, but understanding. It's not charity. It's, let's call it paying forward a kindness someone once showed me. He took a step closer, and Maya saw something in his eyes, something that looked like old pain. When I was young, my family struggled. We were immigrants, my parents, my sister, and me. We came here with nothing. Someone helped us once when we needed it most. They didn't ask for anything in return. They just said, when you can, help someone else the same way. So that's what I'm doing. Someday, when you're in a position to help someone who needs it, you'll do the same. That's all I ask. Maya looked down at Zara, who had started to stir, making small hungry sounds. She thought about her pride, about what it meant to accept help, about what it meant to put her daughter's needs above her own ego. Okay, she whispered, reaching out to take the money. Her hand shook as she did. Thank you. Thank you. Alex smiled, and it transformed his entire face, making him look younger, more approachable. You're welcome. Is there anything else you need? Have you eaten today? Maya wanted to lie, but something about this man's directness, his lack of judgment, made her tell the truth. Not really. But I'm fine. There's a diner 2 blocks from here that's open 24 hours. Best pancakes in the city. Would you let me buy you dinner? I promise I'm not a serial killer. You can keep your phone out, tell someone where you are, whatever makes you comfortable. Maya should have said no. Every reasonable part of her brain screamed that this was too much, too weird, potentially dangerous. But there was something in Alex's eyes, a loneliness that mirrored her own, a genuine kindness that felt real in a way she couldn't explain. Why are you doing this? She asked. Really? Alex was quiet for a moment, looking up at the night sky before meeting her eyes again. Honestly? Because I've been working 16-hour days for months, living in a penthouse apartment that feels like a museum, and I can't remember the last time I did something that mattered. Something real. You sent me a text asking for help, and for the first time in longer than I can remember, I had the chance to actually make a difference in someone's life. So maybe you're helping me as much as I'm helping you. It was the vulnerability in his admission that decided it for Maya. She nodded. Okay. Pancakes. But I need to go inside first and pay the rest of what I owe for the formula. Already done, Alex said. I went in while you were standing out here and settled your account. The manager seemed relieved. Maya felt overwhelmed suddenly, tears spilling over before she could stop them. This stranger had shown her more kindness in 20 minutes than she'd experienced in months. Hey, Alex said softly. It's okay. You're okay. Your baby is okay. That's what matters. Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I'm sorry. It's been a really hard few months. I imagine it has been. He gestured to his SUV. Come on. Let's get you both some food. And Maya? You're stronger than you know. It takes courage to ask for help. As Maya buckled Zara's carrier into the back seat of the Mercedes, Alex insisting she use his spare car seat that he kept for his niece, she found herself thinking that maybe, just maybe, her luck was starting to change. Section 3, Stories Over Coffee. The Sunrise Diner was a relic from another era, all chrome edges and red vinyl booths, with a checkerboard floor that had seen better decades. At 12:30 a.m., it was populated by an eclectic mix of night shift workers, insomniacs, and people like Maya who existed in the margins of normal life. Alex had been right about the pancakes. Maya sat across from him in a corner booth, Zara sleeping peacefully in her carrier beside her, and tried to eat slowly even though her body screamed for her to devour everything in sight. The stack of blueberry pancakes in front of her, alongside scrambled eggs, bacon, and hash browns, represented more food than she'd seen in one place in weeks. When did you last have a proper meal? Alex asked, nursing a cup of black coffee. Maya swallowed her bite, embarrassment heating her cheeks. I eat. That's not what I asked. She set down her fork, meeting his gaze. There was no judgment there, only concern. I make sure Zara eats. That's what matters. You matter too, Maya. The simple statement, delivered with such sincerity, nearly undid her again. She blinked back tears and picked up her fork, taking another bite to avoid having to respond. Tell me about her, Alex said, nodding toward Zara. Your daughter. Maya's whole face softened. Her name is Zara. She's 6 months old, and she's the best thing that ever happened to me, even though. She trailed off. Even though the timing wasn't ideal? Alex offered gently. Even though her father decided he wasn't ready to be a parent about 5 seconds after finding out I was pregnant. Maya surprised herself with her honesty. Maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe it was the fact that this stranger had already seen her at her lowest. What did she have left to hide? He said a baby would complicate things and that he was too young for that kind of responsibility. He was 32. Alex's jaw tightened. I'm sorry. That's garbage? Yeah. Maya looked down at her daughter, reaching out to adjust the blanket around her. But I got Zara, so I can't regret it. My mama always said that sometimes God's greatest gifts come wrapped in our biggest challenges. Your mother sounds like she was wise. She was. Maya's voice caught. She passed 3 months ago. Breast cancer. By the time they caught it, it had spread everywhere. She got to meet Zara, though. Got to hold her. That's something. So you're doing this alone, Alex said quietly. No family? I have a cousin, Jasmine. She helps when she can, but she has her own kids, her own struggles. And I have my church community, but everyone there is just scraping by like I am. She took a sip of her orange juice, grateful for the sweetness. What about you? You said your family were immigrants? Alex nodded, seeming pleased by the change of subject. We came from China when I was 8. My father was an engineer, but his credentials didn't transfer. He ended up working in a restaurant kitchen. My mother cleaned houses, actually, like you do. Maya felt a connection snap into place. That's why you understood. When I said I clean houses. My mother worked for this one family in Pacific Heights, the Hendersons. They were old money, treating the help like furniture. Except their daughter, Margaret. She was different. Alex smiled at the memory. She saw my mother as a person. Asked about her family, about her dreams. When she found out I was good at math, she paid for me to go to this summer program for gifted kids. Then she helped me get into a private high school on scholarship. She changed the trajectory of my entire life. Is that who helped your family? The person you mentioned before? Yes. When my father had a heart attack and we couldn't afford the medical bills, Margaret paid for everything. She said the same thing I told you tonight, pay it forward someday. Alex's expression grew distant. She died 5 years ago. Cancer, like your mother. I never got to thank her properly, to show her what her kindness had built. What did it build? Maya asked softly. Alex hesitated, and Maya realized he was uncomfortable talking about himself. I started a tech company. We developed software for supply chain management. It did, well. Something in his tone told Maya there was more to the story. She thought about the Mercedes, the expensive watch she'd noticed on his wrist, the way he'd pulled out $300 like it was loose change. How well, she pressed. Well enough that I could pay off my parents' mortgage and put my sister through medical school. Well enough that I spend most of my time in meetings about quarterly reports and market shares instead of actually creating anything. He looked tired suddenly. Well enough that I forgot what it felt like to help someone directly, to make a real difference in a tangible way. Maya studied him across the table. You're lonely. It wasn't a question, and Alex didn't treat it like one. Yes. I built this successful company, achieved everything I thought I wanted, and somewhere along the way, I realized I'd traded my life for my career. I'm 38 years old, and I can't remember the last time I had a genuine conversation with someone who wasn't trying to sell me something or get something from me. Is that why you came tonight? Because I wasn't trying to get something from you. I didn't even know who you were. Maybe. Alex met her eyes. Or maybe I came because your text reminded me that there are still real problems in the world, problems that can't be solved with an algorithm or a business strategy. Problems that just require one person helping another person. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the diner's ambient noise, clinking dishes, low conversations, the hiss of the griddle, filling the space between them. Can I ask you something? Maya said finally. And you can tell me if I'm out of line. Go ahead. What's your last name? Alex smiled slightly. Why do you want to know? Because I have a feeling if I Google you, I'm going to find out exactly how successful your company is, and I'm going to feel even more awkward about this whole situation. Then maybe don't Google me. That's not an answer. Chen. Alexander Chen. Maya felt her eyes widen. Even she, with her limited time for following business news, had heard that name. Alexander Chen. As in Chen Technologies? As in one of Forbes' youngest billionaires? Don't do that, Alex said quickly, seeing her expression change. Don't start treating me differently. For the past hour, you've just seen me as a person. That's the most valuable thing anyone's given me in years. Maya sat back in the booth, processing. A billionaire had shown up at midnight to help her buy baby formula. A billionaire was sitting across from her in a diner at 1 a.m, acting like they were just two people having coffee. It was surreal. I don't know how to not be weird about this, she admitted. Try, Alex said simply. Please. Tell me more about you. What did you want to be before life got complicated? And somehow, impossibly, they kept talking. Maya told him about her dreams of being a teacher, about how she loved working with kids, about the children's library program at her church where she volunteered on Sunday mornings. Alex told her about his love of classical piano, a hobby he'd abandoned when work consumed his life, and about his sister's daughter who was 3 and obsessed with dinosaurs. They talked until Zara woke up hungry, and Alex discreetly turned away while Maya fed her with the formula they'd bought. They talked while Maya burped her daughter and changed her diaper in the diner's bathroom. They talked until the sky outside began to lighten from black to deep blue, signaling the approach of dawn. I should get you home, Alex said finally, checking his watch and looking surprised at the time. You need to sleep. I work at 7, Maya said, the reality of her morning shift crashing back into her consciousness. Where? Office building on Market Street. Cleaning crew. Alex frowned. You can't work on no sleep with a baby to take care of. I don't have a choice. If I don't show up, I don't get paid. If I don't get paid, we don't eat next week. She watched something shift in Alex's expression, saw him start to say something and then stop himself. Finally, he just nodded. Let me drive you home. You can rest in the car with Zara. As they gathered their things and headed out to the parking lot, Maya felt the night wrapping up like a dream she'd soon wake from. Tomorrow, or rather, in a few hours, she'd be back to her real life, struggling to make ends meet, fighting to keep her and Zara afloat. But for tonight, a stranger had shown her kindness without expecting anything in return, and that meant more than he could possibly know. What Maya didn't know was that Alexander Chen wasn't done helping her. Not by a long shot. Maya's alarm went off at 6:15 a.m., jarring her from the 2 hours of sleep she'd managed to grab. Her studio apartment was barely 500 square feet, with peeling paint and a radiator that clanked all night, but it was clean and it was hers, for now, at least, until the rent was due again next week. She looked over at Zara, still sleeping in the second-hand crib Maya had bought from a yard sale. Her daughter looked peaceful, her tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. Maya felt the weight of love and fear mix in her chest as it did every morning, fierce protectiveness combined with terror that she wouldn't be enough to give this child what she needed. The night before felt like something she'd imagined. Had Alexander Chen, billionaire, really shown up at midnight to help her? Had they really sat in a diner for hours talking like old friends? In the harsh morning light, it seemed impossible. Maybe desperation had made her hallucinate the whole thing. But then she saw the money on her kitchen counter, $250, more than she'd seen in one place since Zara was born. Alex had insisted she keep it all, saying she needed groceries and supplies. He'd driven her home in his Mercedes, helped carry Zara upstairs, and made sure they were safely inside before leaving. He'd also done something else. Before he left, he'd asked for her number, her real number, saying he wanted to make sure she and Zara were okay. Maya had given it to him, partly because she was too tired to question it, partly because some small part of her wanted to believe the connection they'd made was real. She dragged herself through her morning routine, quick shower, uniform on, bottle prepared for Zara when she woke up. The baby usually stayed with Mrs. Rodriguez down the hall during Maya's shifts, an elderly woman who watched 3 other kids in the building for cheap, not exactly legal daycare, but safe and affordable. Maya was grateful for small mercies. Her phone buzzed as she was getting ready to wake Zara. A text from an unknown number, but she knew who it was immediately. "Good morning. Did you get any sleep?" Maya found herself smiling despite her exhaustion. She texted back, "About 2 hours. Heading to work soon." "You're going to work?" "Maya, you need rest. Bills don't pay themselves. But thank you for last night. I still can't believe you did all that." The response came quickly, "I'm glad I could help. Listen, I know this might sound presumptuous, but I've been thinking. What if there was a way to make your situation more stable?" Maya stared at the message, uncertain how to respond. Before she could type anything, another message came through. "I'm not trying to overstep. I just want to help if I can. Can we talk later? Maybe coffee this afternoon?" Maya knew she should say no. She should thank him for his kindness and let it end there. Getting involved with a billionaire, even just as friends, if that's what this was, seemed like asking for complications she couldn't afford. But she thought about Zara, about the constant fear of not having enough, about how one person's kindness had made her feel seen for the first time in months. "I finish work at 2 p.m., she texted back. "There's a coffee shop called Billionaire on Market Street. I could meet you at 2:30. "Perfect. I'll see you then." Maya made it through her shift running on adrenaline and coffee. She cleaned 12 offices, scrubbed 4 bathrooms, and vacuumed enough carpet to stretch across the city. Her supervisor, Mr. Harrison, barely acknowledged her presence, which was fine by Maya. He only noticed the cleaning crew when something went wrong. At 2:15, Maya picked up Zara from Mrs. Rodriguez, who commented that the baby seemed particularly happy today, as if some of Maya's unexpected hope had transferred to her daughter. Alex was already at the coffee shop when Maya arrived, sitting at a corner table with his laptop closed in front of him. He stood when he saw her, and Maya was struck again by how different he looked from the other wealthy men she sometimes saw in the buildings she cleaned, less formal, more genuine. "Thank you for meeting me," he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. "Can I get you something? They have an excellent chai latte here." "Just black coffee is fine," Maya said, settling Zara's carrier on the chair beside her. "I'm too tired for fancy." While Alex went to order, Maya looked around the coffee shop. It was the kind of place she'd never have entered on her own. Artisanal pastries in the display case probably cost more than she spent on groceries in a day. But Alex had chosen it because it was close to where she worked, she realized. He was being considerate. He returned with 2 coffees and a bottle of water, plus a blueberry muffin that he set in front of her. "You need to eat." "Bossy," Maya said, but she smiled as she said it. Concerned, Alex corrected. "Maya, I'm going to say something, and I want you to hear me out before you respond, okay?" Maya's stomach tightened. This was where he'd reveal the catch, the thing he wanted in return for his help. She nodded, bracing herself. I own the building where I have my company headquarters. The top 3 floors are Chen Technologies, but the lower floors, I lease out to other businesses. One of those floors is currently empty. It was supposed to be a satellite office for a startup that went under last month. He paused, making sure she was following. I'm converting it into something different. A childcare center for employees of companies in the building. Maya wasn't sure where this was going, but she stayed quiet, letting him continue. The thing is, I need someone to run it. Someone who understands what working parents need, someone who genuinely cares about children. Someone who wanted to be a teacher. He met her eyes. I'd like to offer you the position. Maya felt like the air had been sucked from her lungs. What? I'm serious. It would be a full-time position with a real salary, $55,000 a year to start, with full benefits, health insurance, paid time off. You'd be responsible for hiring staff, setting up the curriculum and activities, managing the day-to-day operations. And obviously, Zara could be with you. Alex, I clean houses. I have no formal qualifications for. You have life experience. You have a passion for working with kids, you told me about the library program. And you have something more important than any qualification, you understand struggle. You understand what parents working multiple jobs need from childcare. He leaned forward, intensity in his expression. I can hire someone with an early childhood education degree to handle the technical curriculum stuff. But I need someone with heart to actually run the center, to make it a place where parents trust their kids are safe and loved. That's you, Maya. Maya looked down at Zara, her mind reeling. A real job. A salary. Health insurance. The ability to keep her daughter with her instead of leaving her with a stranger. It was everything she'd been praying for. Why? She whispered. Why me? You don't know me. I know enough, Alex said firmly. I know you're a dedicated mother who would rather go hungry than let your child suffer. I know you have the courage to ask for help when you need it. I know you spend your limited free time volunteering with kids at your church. And I know that when we talked last night, you had ideas about education and childcare that were smarter than anything the experts I've consulted have told me. This is too much, Maya said, shaking her head. I can't accept this. It feels like, I don't know, like I'd be taking advantage of your kindness. You'd be doing me a favor. I need someone to run this center, Maya. I've been trying to figure out how to recruit one of my managers to take it on, but none of them want it. They see it as a step down from their current positions. But you'd see it as an opportunity. You'd pour yourself into making it something special. Maya wanted to say yes. Every cell in her body was screaming at her to say yes. But years of disappointment had taught her to be cautious. What's the catch? No catch. Except that you'd have to work hard, but I don't think that's new for you. And if it doesn't work out? If I'm not good at it? Then we'll figure something else out. Maya felt tears welling up again. I don't think that's going to happen. She'd cried more in the past 12 hours than she had in months. I'm a pretty good judge of people. It's how I built my company. I don't know what to say. And everything in me says that you're exactly who I need for this. Say you'll let me show you the space tomorrow. Say you'll give yourself a chance. Alex's expression softened. Margaret gave me a chance when I was a kid from an immigrant family with nothing but potential. Let me do the same for you. Not because I think you need charity, but because I think you deserve an opportunity to show what you're capable of when you're not just trying to survive. Zara chose that moment to wake up, her little face scrunching up before she let out a wail. Maya immediately lifted her from the carrier, bouncing her gently, whispering soothing words. When she looked up, she saw Alex watching them with an expression she couldn't quite read, something tender and sad at the same time. Okay, Maya heard herself say. I'll come see the space tomorrow. But I can't promise more than that. Alex's smile was radiant. That's all I'm asking. Tomorrow at 10? I have work at. Call in sick. Please. Give yourself one morning to consider a different future. Maya thought about Mr. Harrison, about his indifference to his employees' lives, about the way he'd cut her hours without a second thought. She thought about her aching back from scrubbing floors, about the constant worry of making ends meet. Okay, she said again. Tomorrow at 10. As they left the coffee shop and went their separate ways, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that her life was balanced on a knife's edge, ready to tip in an entirely new direction. It was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. The Chin Technologies building was a gleaming tower of glass and steel in the heart of the city, the kind of building Maya had only ever entered through service entrances. But at 9:55 a.m., she walked through the main lobby doors with Zara in her arms, feeling painfully out of place in her nicest outfit, a simple black dress she usually saved for church. Alex was waiting by the elevators, wearing a suit this time, and Maya was struck by how different he looked in his professional environment. This was Alexander Chen, CEO and billionaire, not the man who'd sat with her in a diner at midnight. But then he smiled at her, and she saw the same warmth in his eyes. You came, he said, and there was relief in his voice, as if he genuinely worried she wouldn't show. I almost didn't, Maya admitted. I woke up this morning convinced I'd dreamed the whole thing. It's real, Alex assured her. Come on, let me show you. They took the elevator to the 8th floor, and when the doors opened, Maya gasped. The space was massive, an entire floor of the building, currently empty but full of potential. Large windows let in natural light, and she could immediately envision how it could be transformed. It's 20,000 square feet, Alex said, walking into the space. More than enough for multiple age group rooms, a play area, a kitchen for meal prep, offices for staff. Over here, he led her to the windows. I thought we could create a reading nook. Kids need a quiet space. Maya walked through the empty floor, her mind already filling it with color and life. You'd need different areas for different age groups. Infants and toddlers need separate spaces from preschoolers. And you'd want a secure check-in system for parents, somewhere they can drop off and pick up without disrupting the whole center. See? Alex said, following her. This is exactly what I mean. You already know what this space needs. I volunteer at a church program and I have a 6-month-old, Maya protested. That doesn't make me qualified to run a childcare center. What would make you feel qualified? Maya stopped, considering the question seriously. Training, I guess. Understanding of early childhood development, safety protocols, state licensing requirements. I'd need to hire people who actually have degrees in education. So let's do that, Alex said simply. I've already researched the requirements for operating a licensed childcare center in California. You'd need to take some courses, get certified. I'll pay for all of it. In the meantime, I'll hire an assistant director who has the credentials. They can handle the technical side while you focus on the vision and daily operations. By the time the center opens in 3 months, you'll have the knowledge and experience you need. Maya turned to face him. You've really thought this through. I have. I've been thinking about it since I left your apartment last night. Alex ran a hand through his hair, looking slightly embarrassed. I know it probably seems impulsive, but sometimes the best decisions are the ones that feel right immediately. This feels right, Maya. Why does this matter so much to you? Maya asked quietly. And don't say it's just about paying forward Margaret's kindness. There's something else, isn't there? Alex was quiet for a long moment, looking out the windows at the city below. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with emotion. My sister, Lily, she's a surgeon. Brilliant, dedicated, everything our parents dreamed she'd become. She has a daughter, Emma, who I told you about. The one who loves dinosaurs. He paused, his jaw tightening. Last year, Lily was up for department chair at her hospital. She'd worked toward it for years, sacrificed so much. But she didn't get it. Want to know why? Maya shook her head, already sensing this story wouldn't have a happy answer. Because she had to leave early 3 times in 1 month for childcare emergencies. Emma got sick, the daycare called, and Lily had to leave the hospital. They told her she wasn't committed enough to the position. Never mind that she'd worked 70-hour weeks for years, never mind her impeccable record. She was a mother, and in their eyes, that made her less reliable. That's horrible, Maya breathed. It broke something in her, Alex continued. Not her career, she's still an excellent surgeon. But her spirit. She started talking about how maybe she'd made a mistake, trying to have both a career and a child. As if she should have to choose. He turned back to Maya, and she could see old anger and pain in his expression. I have all this money, all this success, and I couldn't fix that for her. I couldn't change the system that punished her for being a mother. But maybe I can do something. Maybe I can create a place where parents, especially mothers, don't have to choose between their careers and their children. Maya felt her throat tighten. You're a good brother. I'm a brother who wishes he'd done this sooner. But better late than never, right? Alex managed a small smile. So yes, this is about paying forward Margaret's kindness. But it's also about Lily, and Emma, and every parent who's ever had to make an impossible choice. And it's about you, Maya. You texted a stranger asking to borrow $50 because you needed to feed your baby. You were humiliated and desperate, but you asked anyway because your daughter needed you. That's exactly the kind of parent I want to help. Maya looked down at Zara, who was contentedly chewing on her fist, oblivious to the conversation that was reshaping her future. I'm scared, she admitted. What if I fail? What if I let you down? Then you'll be like every other person who's ever tried something new, Alex said. Maya, I built a billion-dollar company, and I've failed at more things than I can count. The difference between success and failure isn't never falling down, it's getting back up and trying again. And something tells me you're very good at getting back up. Maya thought about the past year of her life. Her mother's death. Marcus abandoning her. Losing her job hours. Skipping meals so Zara could eat. Standing in that convenience store at midnight, not knowing how she'd feed her baby. She'd gotten back up from all of it. Okay, she said, and this time, it wasn't tentative. Yes. I'll do it. Alex's face lit up with genuine joy. Yeah. Yeah. But I have conditions. Name them. 1. I want this to be a real job, not charity. Which means you have to be honest with me if I'm not doing well. I need real feedback, real accountability. Agreed. 2. Part of the staff needs to be people like me, people who've struggled, who understand what it's like to worry about making rent while trying to be a good parent. I don't want this to be run by people who've never known hardship. I love that idea, Alex said. 3. You have to promise me that if there's ever anything inappropriate about this situation, you'll tell me. I need to know this is really about the job, not about, she gestured vaguely between them, feeling her cheeks heat. Alex's expression became serious. Maya, I promise you, this is about giving you an opportunity you've earned, not about any other agenda. You need to know that I would never, ever use my position or resources to pressure you into anything. If our relationship develops into a friendship, that's wonderful. If it stays purely professional, that's fine too. You're in complete control of those boundaries. Okay, Maya said, feeling relief wash over her. Then yes. I accept. They shook hands, and Maya felt the weight of it, not just a new job, but a new life opening up before her. Alex spent the next 2 hours walking her through his vision for the center, asking for her input, treating her ideas with genuine respect. By the time they finished, Maya's head was spinning with possibilities. There's one more thing, Alex said as they stood by the elevators, preparing to leave. I don't want you going back to cleaning offices while we get this set up. I'd like to offer you a salary starting now, call it a planning and preparation period. You'll take the required courses, help me interview candidates for assistant director, work on the curriculum and design. Full-time work, full-time pay. Starting when? Starting today, if you're ready. Maya felt dizzy. 24 hours ago, she'd been standing in a convenience store unable to afford baby formula. Now she was standing in a building she'd only ever dreamed of entering, being offered a career that could change everything. I need to give my cleaning company notice, she said. It's the right thing to do. 2 weeks? 1. They don't deserve 2. Maya smiled, feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time, power. The power to choose, to decide, to build something for herself and her daughter. As she left the building, Zara asleep against her chest, Maya pulled out her phone and called her supervisor at the cleaning company. Mr. Harrison answered on the third ring, sounding annoyed. Maya. What is it? You're not scheduled today. I know. I'm calling to give you my notice. I'll work through next week, but then I'm done. There was silence on the other end. Then, you found something else? I did. Must be nice, he said, and there was bitterness in his tone. Some of us have to work for a living. Maya thought about all the times he'd cut her hours, ignored her requests for better assignments, treated her like she was invisible. She thought about the power dynamic she'd accepted because she'd had no choice. You're right, Mr. Harrison. Some of us do have to work for a living. I'll see you Monday. She hung up before he could respond, and for the first time in longer than she could remember, she felt light. That evening, Maya sat in her tiny apartment with Zara on a blanket on the floor, surrounded by information packets Alex had given her about early childhood education courses. Her phone buzzed with a text. How are you feeling about everything? She smiled and typed back, terrified. Excited. Like my life just did a complete 180. That's normal. Change is scary even when it's good change. But Maya? You're going to be amazing at this. How do you know? Because Margaret believed in me when I had nothing but potential. And now I see that same potential in you. Trust yourself the way I trust you. Maya looked down at Zara, who was grabbing at her toes with intense concentration, as if discovering them for the first time. I'm going to make you proud, sweet girl, Maya whispered. We're going to build a good life. I promise. Her phone buzzed again. Oh, and Maya? I know you said you wanted this to be a real job and not charity. So I'm going to be honest, I'm terrified too. Of what? Of letting you down. Of having this amazing idea and screwing up the execution. Of disappointing you, or Lily, or all the parents who will be counting on this center. So I guess we're both scared. Maybe we can figure it out together? Maya felt warmth bloom in her chest. Together sounds good. ## Section 6, 6 months later. The grand opening of Bloom Early Learning Center was nothing like Maya had imagined. She'd pictured something small and quiet, maybe a ribbon cutting with a few employees present. Instead, Alex had organized a full community event, complete with local press, city council members, and families from the building and surrounding area. Maya stood in the main play area, watching children laugh and explore the space she'd spent 6 months bringing to life. The walls were painted in warm, cheerful colors, not the harsh primary colors typical of childcare centers, but softer tones that felt welcoming. There were reading nooks with bean bags and shelves full of books. A sensory room for children who needed quiet space. An outdoor play area on the building's terrace, something Maya had fought for because she believed kids needed fresh air and nature, even in the city. Zara, now 1-year-old and newly walking, toddled around with the other children, squealing with delight. Maya had been terrified to let her daughter be in the care of the staff she'd hired, even though she'd personally vetted every single one of them. But watching Zara giggle as Miss Jennifer, a former foster parent who'd raised 6 children and had more practical wisdom than any textbook, caught her before she tumbled, Maya felt a peace she hadn't known was possible. "Quite a turnout," said a voice beside her. Maya turned to see Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, the assistant director she'd hired 3 months ago. Sarah had a PhD in early childhood development from Stanford and had worked at prestigious preschools across the country. Maya had been intimidated by her credentials during the interview, but Sarah had won her over immediately by saying, "I have the degrees, but you have the heart. Together, we'll be unstoppable." She'd been right. "I can't believe this is real," Maya admitted. "Sometimes I still wake up thinking I'm going to be late for my cleaning shift." "This is very real," Sarah assured her. "And Maya? You should be proud. This center is unlike anything I've seen in 20 years in this field. The parent feedback has been overwhelming. Do you know Mrs. Patterson from the law firm on the 6th floor?" Maya nodded. Mrs. Patterson was a senior partner whose 3-year-old son, Marcus, was one of their first enrollees. "She told me yesterday that for the first time since having a child, she doesn't feel like she has to choose between being a good lawyer and a good mother. She said this center gave her back part of herself she thought she'd lost." Sarah's eyes were bright. "That's because of you, Maya. Because you understood what working parents needed." Maya felt her eyes sting with tears, happy tears this time. She'd cried a lot over the past 6 months, but increasingly, they were tears of joy rather than desperation. "Ms. Washington?" A young woman approached, holding a toddler on her hip. "I'm Rachel Chen, I'm Alex's sister, Lily. And this is Emma." Maya recognized the little girl immediately, she'd heard so much about her. "The dinosaur expert. Alex talks about you all the time." Emma's face lit up. "I have a T-Rex at home. Her name is Susan." "That's an excellent name for a T-Rex," Maya said seriously. Lily shifted Emma to her other hip, and Maya could see the exhaustion and stress that came from juggling a demanding career with parenting. But there was something else too, hope. "I wanted to thank you," Lily said quietly. "Alex told me about how you two met, about how you inspired all of this. I don't know if he told you, but I'm enrolling Emma here next month when I go back to full-time hours at the hospital. For the first time since she was born, I'm not terrified about what that means." "That's what we're here for," Maya said. "Your brother told me what happened with the department chair position." "I'm sorry." Lily's expression tightened briefly, then relaxed. "That experience broke my heart, but maybe it led to something better. Alex has always been protective of me, but after that, he became obsessed with finding a solution. And somehow, a text message sent by accident in the middle of the night became the catalyst for all this." She gestured around the bustling center. "Funny how life works." "Funny isn't quite the word I'd use," Maya said with a small laugh. "More like miraculous." "Speaking of my brother," Lily said, a knowing look in her eye, "he's been different these past 6 months. Lighter, somehow. Happier. I think this project, and you, reminded him what matters." Before Maya could figure out how to respond to that, there was a commotion near the entrance. Alex had arrived, and he was immediately swarmed by city council members and business leaders wanting to congratulate him. But his eyes scanned the room until they found Maya, and he smiled, that genuine, warm smile she'd first seen in a diner at midnight. He made his way through the crowd to her, Lily tactfully excusing herself to chase after Emma, who'd discovered the art station. "Director Washington," Alex said formally, but his eyes were twinkling. "The center looks amazing." "CEO Chen," Maya replied, matching his tone. "It turned out pretty well, didn't it?" They'd fallen into this easy banter over the past months, a friendship that had developed naturally as they worked together. Alex had kept his promise, he'd never made her uncomfortable, never crossed a line. But there was something between them, an undercurrent neither of them had addressed. "You did this," Alex said, dropping the formal tone. "I gave you an empty floor and some resources, but you made it into something special." "We did this," Maya corrected. "You, me, Sarah, the entire staff. It takes a village, right?" "Maya." A voice called out. Maya turned to see Jasmine, her cousin, approaching with her 3 kids in tow. "Girl, this place is incredible. Can I enroll my 2 youngest?" Maya laughed, the sound coming easier these days. "Yes, but there's a waiting list now. We hit capacity faster than we expected." "That's because you're providing something this city desperately needs," Alex said. He checked his watch. "I need to give a speech in a few minutes. Wish me luck." "You don't need luck. Just tell them the truth, that childcare shouldn't be a luxury, it should be a right. That parents shouldn't have to sacrifice their careers or their children. That everyone deserves a chance to thrive, not just survive." Alex held her gaze for a long moment. "You know, 6 months ago, I thought I was helping you. But I think you've helped me more than I helped you." "How's that?" "You reminded me why I started my company in the first place. Not to make money or build an empire, but to solve problems that mattered. To make people's lives better." He smiled self-deprecatingly. "I'd lost sight of that somewhere along the way." "Well," Maya said softly, "I guess we helped each other then." The ceremony was beautiful. Alex gave a speech about the importance of supporting working families, about how Bloom Early Learning Center was just the first step in a larger initiative to expand affordable, high-quality childcare throughout the city. He announced that Chun Technologies would be partnering with other companies to create similar centers across the area. When he called Maya up to say a few words, her hands shook as she took the microphone. She looked out at the crowd, at the parents, the children, the staff she'd hired, at Zara being bounced on Jasmine's hip, and felt overwhelmed. 6 months ago, she began, her voice steady despite her nerves, "I was standing in a convenience store at midnight, unable to afford formula for my daughter. I was desperate enough to text someone I thought I knew, asking to borrow $50. I got the number wrong, and that wrong number changed my life." She saw Alex in the crowd, his expression soft and encouraging. "A stranger showed up that night and helped me when he had no reason to. He saw potential in me when I couldn't see it in myself. And he gave me something more valuable than money, he gave me a chance to prove what I could do when I wasn't just fighting to survive." Maya's voice grew stronger. Bloom Early Learning Center exists because one person decided to help another person. And now, it's our turn to help others. Every child who comes through these doors, every parent who can go to work without worrying, every family that gets to thrive instead of just survive, that's us paying forward the kindness that started all of this. The applause was thunderous. As Maya stepped down from the makeshift stage, she was immediately enveloped in hugs from staff and parents. But her eyes found Alex again, and this time, there was something different in his expression, something that made her heart skip. Later, after the crowd had dispersed and the staff was cleaning up, Maya found herself alone in the infant room, checking on supplies for Monday's reopening. She was so focused on her checklist that she didn't hear Alex enter until he spoke. "You were incredible today." Maya jumped slightly, then laughed. "You scared me." "Sorry." He moved into the room, looking around at the space she'd designed with such care, the soft lighting, the rocking chairs for feeding, the cribs arranged to maximize light and minimize noise. "I've been meaning to talk to you about something." Maya's stomach fluttered nervously. "Okay." "These past 6 months, working with you, watching you build this place, it's been the best part of my day, every day." Alex ran his hand through his hair, a nervous gesture she'd learned meant he was struggling with something. "And I know I promised that this was just about the job, that there were no other agendas. And I've tried, Maya. I've really tried to keep things professional." "Alex. Let me finish, please." He took a breath. But the truth is, somewhere along the way, it stopped being just about the job for me. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You see me as just Alex, not Alexander Chen the billionaire. And when I'm with you and Zara, I feel like I'm part of something real, something that matters beyond quarterly reports and stock prices. Maya's heart was pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it. What are you saying? I'm saying that I have feelings for you. Real feelings. And I needed to be honest about that because I promised you I would be. He held up a hand before she could respond. But I also need you to know that nothing has to change. Your job is secure regardless. This center is yours to run however you see fit. If you don't feel the same way, we'll continue as we have been, and I'll never mention this again. Your comfort and security come first, always. Maya stood there, processing. 6 months ago, if someone had told her she'd be standing in a childcare center she ran, having a billionaire confess feelings for her, she'd have laughed at the absurdity. But life, she'd learned, was strange and unpredictable and sometimes, impossibly, beautiful. I'm scared, she admitted. You're you, and I'm me, and there's this huge gap between our worlds. There's no gap, Alex said firmly. There's just two people who care about each other. Everything else is just details. But what about Zara? She's my priority, Alex. She has to be. I know. And that's one of the things I love about you. The word love hung in the air between them, charged with possibility. Maya, I'm not asking you to change your priorities or your life. I'm asking if there might be room in that life for me. As a friend who wants to be more, if you'll let me. Maya thought about the past 6 months. The way Alex always asked about Zara first. The way he'd shown up with children's books one day, saying he'd seen them and thought of them. The way he'd never once made her feel less than, despite the enormous difference in their circumstances. The way he'd kept every promise he'd made that first night. I have feelings for you too, she said quietly. I've been trying not to, because it seemed impossible. But yes, Alex. There's room. His smile was radiant. Yeah. Yeah. But we go slow, okay? I need to protect my daughter, and my heart, Anne. Alex crossed the room in 3 strides and cupped her face gently in his hands. We go at whatever speed you need. I'm not going anywhere, Maya. I've waited this long to find something real. I can wait as long as you need. He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. And Maya, who had been so afraid for so long, let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, happy endings weren't just for fairy tales. 1 year later, Maya stood in the same infant room, but everything had changed. Bloom Early Learning Center had expanded to 3 locations across the city. She'd completed her early childhood education certification and had been interviewed by national publications about her innovative approach to accessible childcare. But the biggest change was personal. Alex had kept his promise, they'd gone slow, building a foundation of friendship and trust before anything else. He'd courted her properly, earning not just her love but Zara's too. The little girl now called him ally, and lit up whenever he entered a room. They weren't married, Maya wasn't ready for that yet, maybe wouldn't be for a while. But they were building something real and lasting. Alex had bought a house in a good neighborhood and helped Maya move out of her studio apartment, but she insisted on paying rent. They had dinner together 3 times a week. He read Zara bedtime stories and had taught himself about black hair care so he could help with Zara's elaborate braiding sessions. Most importantly, he'd never tried to be Zara's father, that role was reserved for someone who'd actually earned it, if anyone ever did. Instead, he was ally, the man who loved her mama, who showed up when he said he would, who kept his promises. Maya's phone buzzed with a text. Looking at the center's first-year financial reports. You're operating at 95% efficiency. I'm so proud of you. Dinner tonight to celebrate? She smiled and typed back, can't. It's Zara's ballet recital, remember? But you should come. She's been practicing her plies all week. Wouldn't miss it. I'll bring flowers. Maya looked around the infant room, thinking about that night in the convenience store that had changed everything. She thought about the text she'd sent by mistake, the stranger who'd shown up at midnight, the chance she'd taken on trusting someone when she had no reason to. Life wasn't perfect. She still worried about money sometimes, still had moments of doubt, still struggled with the trauma of those desperate months. But she'd learned something valuable. Sometimes, when you're brave enough to ask for help, when you're open enough to accept kindness, when you're willing to believe in possibilities, life gives you exactly what you need, even if it's not what you expected. Her phone buzzed again. I love you. Both of you. Maya typed back, her heart full, we love you too. And in that moment, standing in the center she'd built from nothing, with a daughter who was thriving and a man who'd proven his love through consistent action, Maya Washington felt something she'd once thought impossible. She felt safe. She felt seen. She felt like maybe, after everything, she'd finally found her way home. The end.